Fabian Seacaster was Lou Wilson's character in Dimension 20's campaign of Fantasy High, and he was absolutely incredible to watch because he was set up intentionally by Lou and Brennan for failure. He was an incredible example of how to set yourself up for failure in a way that is fun and interesting rather than just upsetting. But how did he do that? Well, let's talk about it.
Toxic masculinity is dead! I'm dead now!
Now, one thing you're gonna want to keep in mind before getting too ahead of yourself is the
you
fact—
gotta do the ad spot.
What?
Yeah, we're sponsored by NordVPN for this one.
Really?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Like NordVPN, the guys who sponsor Critical Role and Nord by Nordwest and...
Yeah, I texted the details to your phone.
Okay, cool. Hold on a second. Today's episode is apparently sponsored by NordVPN. NordVPN is a virtual private network that can protect your system and make sure that you are safe while traveling online. It is currently risk-free. They are doing a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it out with no problem. They're currently doing a bundle. Okay, they have 3 options for their bundles. You could do a standard, a plus, or a complete, which comes with the VPN, the pass, plus their locker protection. Enjoy the leading online VPN service and malware blocker. You wouldn't want to fail your Constitution saving throw to get exhaustion, so don't fail your Wisdom saving throw and get the right system for you. Who wrote this?
Just read the damn script.
Okay. Thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. You can go down to nordvpn.com/playerroll in order to get a 2-year plan with a huge discount as well as 1 month absolutely free. Was that good enough? Did we good? Can I go back to the video now?
Yeah, that was fine. Whatever.
Thank
you.
you.
Put in literally minimal effort.
I don't know who keeps letting you into my house. Fabian Seacaster was an interesting character because he was, well, an antagonist, or at least he had all the potential of being so until he was struck down. See, in Fantasy High, for those of you who don't know, they play in a sort of 1980s-esque world, a world that still has medieval magic and fantasy and sorcery, but it's a little bit more modernized. They have crystals that act like cell phones and cars that go around and are generally powered by magic. It's, you know, modern fantasy. Well, 1980s fantasy. Because of this, all the characters are set in a high school that is meant to train up adventurers, Fantasy High. And Lou's character, Fabian, was essentially set up to be the bully. He was the son of the great Bill Seacaster, Scourge of the Seas. He was a pirate who had settled down, but was still a very powerful figure who was known very worldwide because of his huge exploits. Fabian was his son, and as such, he had all of the weight of that sort of thing on his shoulders. He had to live up to Bill Seacaster's legend, and he was intending to do so.
It's like, I don't want to get involved.
No,
He's making himself like a
What are you
drink,
talking about? This
like
is
a
the
Hennessy
opportunity
drink
to
behind
be a
the bar.
hero. I'll take it.
He was going to be the head of the sports team. He was going to be the most popular kid in school. He was going to show everybody exactly what he was capable of. And that's where Lou and Brennan stepped in. It seems that Lou wanted Fabian to be set up for failure from the very start. See, it was made clear that Fabian was meant to be the head of the sports team of Fantasy High, known as the Owl Bears. This didn't happen, however, because when he attempted to go and talk to the coach, he was made informed by his father that his father had given the coach a bribe, basically making sure that Fabian would be the head.
Oh, my boy, my sweet boy. Now, technically, you're not on the team yet. They're going to have some informal tryouts today, mainly for people that are coming back and have played earlier season. Now, you're a freshman, but I've had a little bit of a conversation with Coach Daybreak, who's the coach of the Owl Bears over there. And I understand he'll be accommodating you in terms of a tryout today.
Oh, fantastic, Papa. Thank you so much. I mean, the tryout's just a simple formality. I mean, we both know that I have the skills to be a champion.
Now, in addition to your skill and your talent and your raw power as a master of combat, I've also paid a handsome sum of money to Coach Daybreak.
Oh.
A bribe.
Well, of course.
An illegal bribe.
Well, I would do the exact same.
Of course.
I would have done it if you hadn't.
This is the start of what lets us know what kind of character Fabian is. He very desperately wants to live up to his father's legacy, and he wants to prove that he is the man that his father thinks he is. But his father almost gets in the way of that. He is so insistent on making sure that his son gets there that he trips his son and prevents him from being able to actually prove himself. And that's what happens here. And so when Fabian attempts to go talk to the coach, he's not even let on the team. He fails the tryouts, despite the bribe.
You're not on the team.
I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry, what?
You're not on the team.
I mean, I ran faster and I ended up playing. My father paid you My father paid you money.
What the hell did you just say?
And this is what prevents him from becoming the antagonist. He had every single right to be the bully of the story, the person who helps all the powerful people to get what they want, because that way he can remain popular and prove to himself that he is the man that his father wants him to be. But that didn't end up happening. This very moment, the moment where he was immediately set up to fail, caused him to be a far more dynamic and interesting character, and set up to fail over and over again and rise above that. And I think that Lou did an amazing job embracing the failure in order to make a more interesting character. Over the course of the campaign, there are a lot of times where he just straight up does not succeed on what he's attempting to do. And Lou takes it in stride even when Fabian does not.
Luckily, I'm absolutely terrified and don't want to be here at all. So I would like to disengage and get on the hangman and get away from here.
Fabian, still on fire, and tears off, flames streaking into the night, coming off of his coat. And you are gone, baby.
Oh no!
I think there is a lot to learn from Lou as a role player and a player in general on how to gracefully accept your failures and lean into them. Over the course of the campaign, there are many times where people just tell him no or make fun of him. In fact, his own group makes fun of him an awful lot. And yet Lou just keeps on encouraging Fabian to try and be a larger figure than he is, to continue to bolster up Fabian's ego, knowing that the character cannot live up to that ego, that he is going to fail, whether it's because of the other characters, the NPCs, or the dice. And that's the point. Lou wants him to be humbled, but still find a courage within himself, which is something that I think is really difficult to do, but if you can do so, it will create one of the most dynamic characters possible. Fabian gives us plenty of examples of the fact that even though he's failed, he still considers himself, or at least desperately hopes, that he is still the person that he's trying to be for his dad.
Do we need, is that what you're asking? Are you suggesting that we need a captain?
I didn't make captain of that
happily
team,
do it.
but
I mean,
you
I
could be
would
captain of
happily
Don't
take it
feed
on.
this.
I mean, if we're looking for a captain, I mean, look at this man. Look at me. I'm son. I can easily do it.
And as he continues to try and figure this out and attempt to bolster himself up, there are many times he just gets beaten down, shown that he is not that type of person. And this is where Fabian's true character begins to shine through. In fact, it leads to a massive confrontation where he realizes he is not the man that his dad wants, and his dad tells him in the most brutal ways.
I mean, you know better than anyone that adventures catch up with you at some point.
Do they now? 'Cause they never got up with me. I took all my wealth, dragged my ship out of the sea, and put it here to give you the best chance.
This is not the time.
Sorry. Oh, it's not the time.
No, it's not the time, Papa. Get us out of this goddamn cell.
Oh, you'll raise your voice to me
Yes,
now,
I
will
will,
you?
Papa.
I tried to give you the best life, and all I did was make you soft. Do you want to know something? I know just why. You are not like me, and it's because I would never let any man speak to me the way I'm speaking to you right now. And he shoves you.
I would like to attempt to grapple him.
You leap, and he takes you to the ground. You bam, gets in your back, and you see he says, "Are you a Seacaster, aren't you, boy?" Look at you here in this prison. I told you what you needed to do. You didn't need to be friends. You didn't need to be noncing around with your peers. You're a captain. Bam, he hits your head into the floor. You're meant to lead, boy.
It leads him to have to figure out exactly who he is at this point, exactly why he's trying to be this person. And he realizes it's not for his dad. It's not for all the people around him. He wants to be this person because he wants to be that kind of person. The reason that playing a character who's set up for failure can be so boring or so painful is because a lot of the times you're missing a very important step that you cannot miss. It is crucial. You have to determine not only why they're going to fail, but what the failure is going to reveal within them. It has to be something that scrapes off the edges of them and reveals something within they didn't know about that is better. It's an improvement. And that's what I think Fabian does. When he has that vicious confrontation with his father, that's kind of the culmination of Fabian's character arc. At that point, he's down on himself. He doesn't know what to do. He feels like he's failed everything. And at that point, he must ask himself, who is he? And Fabian finds out as he faces adversity, breaks out of that prison, and goes to face down the largest, most terrifying threat they have, he stands up and proves to himself, it doesn't matter if his dad cares about him, it doesn't matter what his friends think about him, is he capable of doing this in this moment? Dimension 20 runs shorter campaigns than a lot of the live plays that I've watched, such as Critical Role, and because of that, it leads to a lot less time to develop characters. But I don't think that means that there is any less to learn from them. Fabian is an incredible example of how to purposefully fail in a D&D campaign, or any tabletop campaign for that matter, but doing so in a way that is going to improve your character and show them what it's worth. It's almost like having them trip and fall and crack, and that shell that's protecting them breaks open, and inside is the true character, who they truly wanted to be. And that's something that I think is very useful for people who want to play prideful characters. This is how you do that and still move them forward. Have them realize the lie is wrong, but you can't stop there. You have to also show them not only why the lie was wrong, but why the lie was getting in the way of where they were truly trying to go. And yes, Fabian does prove through actions in the final confrontation that that's the man he's going to be, but that is not actually where it all culminates. In fact, it culminates a few scenes earlier.
In the next room, the blood is coursing down your face from your injury. You step into the next room. The place is littered with bodies. People have been shot directly in the people have been hoisted up by ropes, like chandelier ropes, double noose, hoisted up together. A carnival of violence has occurred in this room. Maybe 60 dead men. And your father has taken a manacle and sometime in the battle manacled himself to the top of a bedpost so that he could stay standing and keep fighting. He is making like death saving throws and looks up at you, saber in his hand. There he is, my darling boy. Do you mind taking me down off the post, boy?
Of course.
You write your name on the face of the world with your heroic deeds. I thought you were just going to be me, a way for me to live forever. But it's better than that. The story's gonna get better with each new one.
Much better.
Your face there, boy. He takes his eye patch off, hands it to you.
During this scene, Fabian comes to terms with the fact that he is not like his father. And that's okay. Because he realizes in this moment, looking at his father, he has seen his father face down countless enemies, literally chained himself up so he can continue to fight even when his legs were gone and broken. He sees his father, this incredible man, and comes to a realization. The man he wants to be is a man who makes himself what he wants to be. And that's what his father did. If he wants to be like his father, he must forge his own path. He must prove himself to be who he wants to be because his father is unequivocally and unapologetically himself. So he too must. In this moment, Fabian realizes the way that he can prove to his father, to himself, to his friends, to the world, that he is going to be something important is by dropping it all and just being who he desires to be. You'll notice in a lot of the analysis I've done on a lot of tabletop characters, it comes down to you just have to be who you are. And that is why we play tabletop games and D&D. That is why it is so important to us that we continue to do it. And I would encourage everybody to always push forward to only being yourself, because that is the literal best thing you can do. If you can continue to carry the weight of what everybody else wants you to be on your shoulders, I think Fabian is a perfect example of why it won't work. Because you never will fully achieve your potential because you're not giving yourself the best chance. Because the best chance is doing what you can do. And if you're trying to do what other people want you to do or think you can do, in the end, you're just not gonna get where you're trying to go. And ultimately, I think there's a lot we can learn from a lot of the incredible role players that have put so much material out into the world. If you want to watch more, I have more analyses right here, and I will be back next week with another Dimension 20 analysis. See you then.